Hi there, my name is Luke, welcome back to PhotoBite, and today we're looking at the GH5 Mark II and asking why. So compared to the GH5, nothing much has changed. It's still running on the same sensor system, and arguably you could say it's mostly a firmware upgrade that you're getting with the updated GH5 Mark II. In terms of its design, you're looking at a very similar body with a few new additions. On top, you've now got a predominant record button right near the shutter button, so you have an extra inch, which apparently makes a difference. You've also got a similar design from what you see with the S line. So we've got white balance, ISO, and exposure compensation. Very nice features, and nice to have them as a button, which is very handy. In terms of on the back, in terms of its design, you've got a joystick on the back next to your autofocus options. I will say that it is a bit of a stretch. So me having a small thumb, it does, take a bit of a stretch to get over, but with normal sized thumbed people, it probably won't be that much of a difference. In terms of the dial, it moves very nicely, although I will say when you put it up against the grip, as you're turning it around, it does kind of catch, so you can find yourself marking up your thumb rather quickly. I can imagine that will wear away over time. And then looking at the screen, it's a variable axis now touchscreen. However, I will say it's 0.2 inches shorter, or smaller should I say. So it is slightly smaller, but whether you would notice is left to be up to a personal opinion. But overall, you're looking at pretty much the same body. So looking at the sensor, we're still looking at the same 20 megapixel micro four thirds sensor with the anti-aliasing filter removed. In terms of ISO range, it's still 200 to 25,600, and it's running on a sensor shift image stabilization system. In terms of continuous shooting, it still shoots at 12 frames per second, and then in video, you can still shoot up to 4K, which is true 4K of 4096 by 2160, not this 3900 jargon that we see with other cameras. Sorry. And in terms of the video itself, it used to be cropped in the GH5, but it's no longer cropped in the GH5 Mark II. As I said, firmware upgrade. Another nice feature for video users is that Vlog is now included for free in the GH5 Mark II. So if you were having a GH5, you had to pay to get the Vlog upgrade for the firmware, but now it is built into the GH5 Mark II, so that'll save you a few pennies. In terms of autofocus, it's running on the same sort of line as the S5, although still not quite as good as the Sony system. So in terms of battery compatibility, you can use your old GH5 batteries, but you can also use the new S-line batteries as well in the GH5 Mark II. So depending on what batteries you have, there's no need to buy another version of them. So in terms of the new features of the GH5 Mark II, you've got Cine 4K and 4K 30 with no more crop, and they've also extended it so it's limitless, so you can record for as long as you want in 420 10-bit. You can also do 10-bit video up to 60 over HDMI while also recording. And a lovely little feature is you can charge whilst recording, so you don't need to carry on having to hot swap batteries in the moment. So around the time of the announcement of the GH5 Mark II, which we were very happy to see, they then decided, Lumix decided to talk about the development of a GH6. So whilst you're busy getting your wallet out, by the time you get to open it up to get your card out, they've already mentioned a GH6. So why do that? Why would you come out with a new camera and then say you're going to come out with an even newer and better camera in the future? Now, the only real reason we can think of is they don't want GH5 users to feel disheartened with having to buy for an upgrade, that they can just upgrade the camera entirely, so they can get a whole new system, get an improved processor, and they can get better features through the software with a few design changes as well. And then what they'll do is bring up the GH6, which will be for probably a fair bit more money, and they'll fit it with the better video features that are more asked for amongst older videographers. So whether it be 10-bit slow-mo, they'll put that in the GH6, and then they'll just keep the normal features you saw on the GH5 with the firmware upgrade into the GH5 Mark II. Hope you're keeping up with it. So essentially what you're doing, you're paying for a firmware upgrade, but getting a physical camera, or you can wait for whatever time it takes, whether it be 9 months, 12 months, or longer to get the GH6, because they haven't given us a time period. They've just kind of said sooner or later. So it depends really if you want to get a new camera now or wait for an unsurmounted amount of time before you can get the GH6. In our humble opinion, it's probably a bit of a weird turn for Lumix to come out with a new camera when you can simply just offer the firmware updates, possibly for free, although I'm sure they would have wanted to give their users an update since the GH5 came back out in 2017, so they needed something to kind of keep their hopes up that something new is on the line, so they reintroduced it as a Mark II. Bit of a cheeky swipe, but that's camera companies for you. So technically, with the GH5 Mark II, it is an improved model from the GH5, but it's mostly firmware and a few design changes. That's what you're getting with the upgrade, which is bringing into question, why not just wait for the GH6? That's going to have superior optics, hopefully a new sensor, going to have better video, and overall it's going to be a much bigger upgrade if you're already a GH5 user. If you're a GH5 user and you've already bought the upgrade package via the firmware update, then probably the GH5 Mark II isn't the one for you to have a look at unless there is a specific feature that is new that really changes the game for you. Otherwise, we would say wait for the GH6 or even have a look at the S series, the S5. When you get it with the lens, is only £200 more, coming in at £1,800, and it comes with a 20 to 60 millimeter. Or you could opt for the GH5 Mark II for about £1,500, and it comes with a 12 to 60 millimeter. So the choice is yours and yours alone. However, I will say that opting for the S5 will mean you get a full frame sensor. There are a few drawbacks, but you can check out our full review and you can see more of the details there. Right, and that's our review of the GH5 Mark II. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, my name's Luke, this is PhotoBite, and we'll see you next time. Are you just pressing?
Yeah, so you just kind of like gently. So this all has to be sealed, but when you get advanced, then you can start going.
Where does the air come out?
I can't do it. It just goes straight through the hole. It doesn't come out anyway.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you get there.
I can just imagine Rob's ears are burning right now.
Wait. I can't. See, there you go.
Hey! Hey, Mum, I learned a skill today.
You can open up the back of your hand.